Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hit List Podcast, the show where Pokemon nostalgia meets today's collecting culture. And once again, we have another for the first time, our Saturday co-host, Mr. Golden Voice, Mr. Gold. It's Kalen from the pokepost.
Woo! I love gold.
So today we're going to be able to talk about a lot of things that are going on within the streaming community, but we're going to really take a deep dive into how Kalen ended up here and maybe give an insight, maybe some behind the scenes of what it's like to be a streamer and how it got to that point where streaming is almost as common of media as just watching the news at the end of a day. I think people nowadays just kind of have streaming as part of their everyday life. So I think getting that insight into what that's like is going to be really interesting for all of us. Alrighty, Kalen, well, talking about streaming and being an internet presence, let's start with how you began getting into streaming or anything else that has to do with media for yourself.
Yeah, for me, I started looking at streaming about middle school time. This was about 2012. I started seeing streamers do a lot of either anime streams or reactions to different videos, and I thought it was really cool. I thought it looked fun, but I never really thought that I was going to do it. In high school, I decided to go ahead and start with radio class. I got really invested into that in high school. I loved doing radio. I loved the knowledge about it. I loved the people. And I love talking, not necessarily talking to other people, but I love talking. So it was a lot of fun for me to not only be able to enjoy music with other people, but also just spread some joy when I could.
That's great. You talked about some of the things you were doing, but at that time, where did you see streaming? Like, what were the common platforms that were used? And you did mention music was one of the things. What were some of the other topics that were really popular at that time that got you interested?
Yeah, so we had a lot of different apps that we would use. For instance, Vine was a huge thing, it was huge for the social media presence. Very quick videos. You had to be very quick to the point, but you had to kind of keep your audience that way. For me, the most streams that I saw was honestly a lot of gaming streams. A lot of people playing either. At the time, I think it was Rainbow Six Siege, kind of like Apex, not Apex. There was another game that they used to play a lot. My brother used to watch it a lot. Minecraft was another huge one that people would watch all the time. I remember, you know, during middle school, all of the kids, hey, oh my gosh, did you see this person build this in Minecraft? And I was like, I don't even like Minecraft. I have no idea what this is. So it wasn't really something that I was very interested in until high school. For me, I saw a lot of people really go towards, those football streams, people playing Madden, people playing NBA, people, just so 2K, all of these sports games that I love to see because that's what I was into. I really love sports. I loved radio. I loved doing all this stuff. And so for me, it was just, it would pop up on my feed. It would pop up on Facebook or, someone would be watching it in class and I'd be like, oh, what is this? What's going on? So it's something that really got me into, oh, okay, live streaming is actually a thing. It's something that a lot of people do. And it's actually a viable thing that can happen on the internet. With radio, it was a little bit different because I actually was able to take a class in radio. So I actually got to learn the history behind radio, why stuff happened, how kind of different things moved throughout the years, including, let's say, for instance, a little fun fact I like to share all the time. Technically, the first ever rap song was Blondie Rhapsody. And that's where you get rap from, Rhapsody. So it's kind of a fun little fact that I never would have known unless it was for radio. I got so into depth with it. I started doing radio in high school during my lunch period, I would do a show. During class, I would do a show. And then I would have shows after school. And that continued on even into the summer. So for me, radio was a big thing that I kind of practiced a lot of during those sophomore through senior year of high school.
Who do you think you credit for this interest of getting into not just radio, but any form of broadcast media that you took part of? Was there a specific teacher, or was this something you grew into yourself?
I had two teachers in my radio class that I really, really liked. They kind of split up the, learning about stuff and then actually being on radio. It really helped me kind of differentiate between school and fun, and that allowed me to really be passionate about whenever I was on the radio. Hey, you gotta like it. You gotta, do X, Y, and Z. You can like, kind of make it yourself, make it your own, but these are the things that we have to hit. So, for instance, we always had oh my gosh, why am I blanking on what it's called? A little spiel, but it would be, hi, you're listening to WDGC 88.3 FM Downers Grove. It'd be something like that where it's a spiel, but you make it your own, make it how you want it, and that's really what got me passionate. It's something that I can make my own. It's something that I can hear, I can understand, I can do better, and I can be better. And luckily, I had two really great teachers that would always, always, always push that. Other than that, though, it was kind of just me doing my own thing, having my own show, being able to kind of do it how I wanted. I had that freedom, and I never had that before. So I really wanted to make it the best that I could, especially because it was mine.
Absolutely. And, I think bouncing off of that, I think the people need to know, does the man with the golden voice, was that part of what brought you into doing this? Or was that something that you realized maybe at a younger age? Or is that something that kind of developed with you as you became more interested in broadcast media?
It kind of developed with me. I had a little bit of it. My grandfather had a very deep, booming voice, and so he would use it very well and very often. And so growing up, I heard his voice so much that I'd try to imitate things and try to do things, and he would laugh. And so for me, it was like, oh, I love that. I love making people smile. I love seeing people laugh. So I had a little bit of kind of just practicing other voice styles, other people's way of speaking, and then once I got to radio class, it was like, this is how I like myself to sound on air. So hearing yourself is so different compared to just speaking. Speaking in my normal voice, I hate it. I hate to hear myself. I think most people do. But once I heard my radio voice, I was like, man, that really sounds pretty good. I like how that sounds. So I developed that sound over the course of about 2 to 3 years, and it's kind of stuck with me since then.
So one of the things I was wondering personally is being on the radio in high school had to give you some form of reverence among the other students. Do you feel as if being on this high school radio station helped develop you into the person you are today in the ways of dealing with people and complex situations in person, but also being able to handle it on a text-based communication that you would have to deal with on stream?
It definitely helped me. Radio is you get calls from people, hey, I want to play this, I want to play that. You have a queue of songs that you have to make sure, hey, this is the order I have to be in line with because my time ends then and I can't go over my time. You also have to put your station identification in there, so you have to make sure, hey, every hour or 45 minutes, I got to make sure to put that in there. So it really helped me with my organization. And then after that, it really helped me just develop, hey, this is where you look at, this is how you speak to people, this is how you deal with a situation that you might not be very comfortable with on air, on live, because no matter what you do, you are live. If your mic is on, you got to remember, whatever you say can be broadcast to anyone. Anyone can hear it, your mom, your sister, your brother, people at school. So you really have to be on it all the time. And that really did help me going into streaming because, when you're streaming, that camera's on you. You're live. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Whatever you say, whatever you do, people got it. So.
Absolutely. And I know that at some point, I'm assuming starting the pokepost was your first experience with streaming online and being in front of a live audience, not just your voice, but your face, your facial expressions, your emotions, all of that. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like and maybe the emotions that came along with that of having yourself essentially be so exposed in such a different way than you would on radio?
It's definitely a little bit different from radio. Streaming is you are in front of people and you can't see the reaction, right? You can't tell if someone's texting something that's like, "Oh, these prices, what is this?" And you're like, "These are my prices," and they're like, "These are amazing." Oh, or "These are terrible." Oh crap, and you can't show that on stream. You got to be aware that you don't know what that other person is feeling or trying to tell you. There's no tone to text, and for me, I always like to take things as um, the best it can be. I never look at the worst of things. I expect the worst, but I'll never ever expect that out of people on stream because I just never know. So whenever I first started, it was, hey, you're kind of getting thrown in the fire here. You got about an hour of training of someone being there with you, but you got to do what you got to do. And streaming is new to us too, so it's not like we're, the end all be all of everything. You kind of have to make it up as you go. With that, I started learning a lot more about streaming. I started educating myself on, hey, this is how other streamers kind of build their rep and how other streamers look on stream and understand how they have so many people and how they keep up with it. It was a lot of learning at the first few weeks. After that, you kind of get into a rhythm on stream. Um, there are going to be times that you don't always want to stream. There are going to be times that you don't always want to, do X, Y, and Z, but they're the non-negotiables. You got to do them.
Hmm.
For myself, that's how it is. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing just because I don't want to do it. Um, it's not worth it because then you throw everything that you worked on to the side. And so, as I continue to grow, as I continue to stream, I can build upon my experience, and that allows me to go further.
I think what's so interesting about exactly what you just said is that just like any other job, this is a career. This is something you need to go to every day, as you stated. Most people, when you have a bad day, uh, you take off, and your coworkers know you took off. But for you, this is such a different experience, where it's not just your coworkers. You actually have essentially a whole family of people that are, "Where's Kalen? What happened?" And
Hmm.
anything that happens in life when you have to take off, you almost have to have that wherewithal to not give all the personal information you need to keep to yourself, but yet also give your, I don't want to call them family, but your community,
Community. Yeah.
your community, what they need to understand why you weren't there. And I think that's part of where this being exposed comes from is, as I said, if I were to not go to work, the only people that would care are the people that I work with, not anybody else.
It is honestly a blessing and a curse. I love the people. I love the community. They are absolutely fantastic. They check in on me even on the weekends. I have people say, "Hey, how are you doing today? What are you doing today? What do you got going on?" I love that. At the same time, sometimes you just need to get away. I took a
Hmm.
vacation to Vegas here a couple weeks ago. Um, Honestly, no one really texted me other than "How's Vegas?" and it was honestly pretty nice. Uh, at the same time, I never want to stop building that community. I know I'm exposed, right? I've had 2 years of experience of being exposed. It's not going to stop. So why am I going to ever shut someone out because I don't want them to know about myself? That's
Absolutely. And I think that's another interesting point that I kind of was thinking about was the difference between somebody who's a purely radio person and somebody who's streaming. I feel like there's a form of, I almost want to say, protection for people who are on radio. Do you feel as if people on radio, in a lot of ways, emotionally and physically, have it a bit easier than those who are streaming or being somebody in front of a camera, whether it be a reporter or anything like that?
I feel like they do have it easier, and the reason that I say that is because people can't really see your reaction, right? If you go away from the mic, people can't hear you, people can't, they don't understand what's going on. I mean, that can be good and bad in different situations, but when you're on the live stream, people can hear you, people can see your legitimate reaction. If it's disgusting and gross, they can see that. If you're really happy and excited, they can see that. And so it's always what honestly Jack and I like to say is you always got to be on it. You always got to have that switch turned on, and so it's a little bit more taxing not only on you mentally, but also just you know your whole system. Um, it's honestly a really easy job, manually wise. I used to lift 50-pound bags all day. It's definitely not that type of job, but mentally, there are times where I get off an 8, 9, 10 hour stream, and I'm like, I don't want to do anything else but sleep. Not only that, but the protections that you get from radio is, you know, people can hear you all the time. People might recognize your voice uh, in a department store or in a grocery store, but they don't really know, right? They're just like, oh, that sounds like this guy, and that's all. But streaming, I've had people come straight up to me during conventions and say, "Are you the pokepost guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. Yeah, come talk to me. Whatever." But at the same time, you know, if you have a bad rap on streaming, people are gonna know that. If you have a good rap on streaming, people are gonna know that. You can't hide your face. At least with how we do it, you can't hide your face. So you gotta be on it as soon as you get on the live, and even a little bit after you end, because you don't know what's gonna go on. There's been times where I've ended a stream and I accidentally left the stream on, and I hope I don't say anything wrong because they can still hear me and see me.
Mhm.
So even after the stream, I even will say to myself, hey, 15, 20 minutes, let yourself continue on, and then make sure everything's off, and then you're done.
Now I think let's cover this rise of streaming culture that, before 2020, streaming not being mainstream. And I actually do remember in 2020, with COVID going on, Pokemon really did start to pick up, and, TikTok really, with the live streams, it was every 2 seconds you were going through.
Yeah. So I know for myself, I started collecting Pokemon in about 2018. I really got into it. I loved the community. I loved the passion that people brought. And honestly, the cards looked amazing. I also got into the financial aspect of it. So during COVID, whenever everyone shut down, there was no place to go. You couldn't go to a card store. You couldn't go to Walmart. You couldn't go to Target. There was no place to go. So what was the best place? What was the best place to just buy stuff or to watch stuff rip live? YouTube,
Mhm.
Twitch, TikTok, Kick, or just so many other platforms that you could go on. I remember during 2020, I would buy into breaks that people would have and pull, for instance, the Charizard V from Champions Path. I would buy it or buy that spot, pull that card, get it sent to me, get it graded, send it back out, and sell it right away. So there was an ever revolving door for me of just watching streams, watching people, because that's all you could do. I mean,
Mhm.
let's be honest, everything was shut down. Um, so for me, it was a way to not only connect with other people on, the internet, but also to have some fun and enjoy some pools. So really in 2020, that's when I saw a huge increase of people not only streaming but doing videos. You saw a lot of people, create their own office, create their own YouTube channel, and really start posting, or at least posting consistently. And I think that's the biggest thing about streaming is you got to be consistent with what you do. And that really, really, really shined in 2020. After that, I mean, you still have more people coming to the area. You have more people coming to the space. It doesn't stop. Once growth happens, people see, hey, it's possible. I want to do it. And that's kind of where we started. That's how the pokepost started streaming. Our first ever stream was a 12-hour stream that did pretty good numbers, and our boss was like, "Oh my gosh, this is a viable thing that I can do." And that's whenever he basically hired Jack on, and really got into the streaming platform.
What did streaming look like at that point? I think a lot of us that have been part of the Pokepost community, we're not currently. or who are currently part of the pokepost community were not there when you guys started doing this. I don't know how many of the active members were actually part of that 12-hour stream. I'm guessing next to none. With a lot of us coming in around 2024, which is about when I started recollecting. As I've mentioned before, the Sea and Skyboxers from Sam's Club, I got in right before the big boom of Pokemon. I know there were multiple other booms before that, but it seems as if whenever you started, it wasn't during a booming time. What is the difference you see now with this massive influx of people every day, new people coming in, versus back then when it first started? Do you feel as if it was just the same people kind of over and over again and you formed a community that way? Or did you still see an influx of new people coming in at that time?
Honestly, it was an influx of new people all the time. There has never been a time where we've had the same community over, a whole month. Now, don't get me wrong, we have our regulars that come in. We have people that come in all the time that support us that are amazing. But whenever we first started, we had maybe 5, 10 people in the chat. I mean, there were times I remember having only my wife in the chat. And, it can be a little bit rough whenever you're streaming. You're trying to, do as much as you can. And it's your job, right? You gotta do it. Whether you like it or not, you got to be on that camera. You got to stream for X amount of time. You got to try and make, X, Y, and Z to keep the lights on. Um, and during that time, I remember we would sell a booster box for MSRP because you could on stream versus in store, it'd be, you know, 40, 50, $60 less than MSRP. And
Mm.
so for the shop, it was like, well, yeah, why don't we do streaming? I mean, we can sell so much more, we can do so much more. And not only that, but build a community behind our stream to allow us to grow as a store and grow our allocations. It just makes sense, right? There's no real backlash of it other than, returns and stuff that you'd normally get if you're selling online anyway. For us, it was all right, cool. So if we're gonna do this, we gotta make sure we do it right. Um, I know that there was a time where we were like, well, we just want to stream as much as possible. We want to get people in seats and make sure that we have a human in the seat and just talk. It doesn't matter what you do, just be live. We found out that didn't work. I mean, you got to change gears as you build your community and you kind of understand what people want. You got to change, and that's okay. Change is always hard, but it's almost always worth it. For us, we built a huge community of regulars. I mean, you came in 2024. We've had several people come in 2025 that have become regulars. We'll continue to have people come in 2026 that will become regulars. And that's a great thing. I don't ever want to see that stop. No matter what, when people go out of the Pokemon community, I wish them the best. When they come in, I wish them the best. And my whole goal in between that time is just to have fun. And I think that people understand that. I mean, on stream, I'm always saying, I don't care. I'm the hype man, right? You guys buy the packs, I get to rip them. That's amazing. I love that. And so, as much as I can to change with our community and to continue to build that community, I'm going to do it because that's what it's all about.
One of the things that you had mentioned was when you get on, you have to be on for a certain amount of time. Are there requirements that maybe TikTok, YouTube, anybody has upon, when you start the stream to be able to keep your streaming rights? You have to stay on for so long. I'd imagine they don't have any requirements on selling stuff because not every stream is selling. But are there some kind of requirements that you need to follow? I know there's definitely ones upon language and products you sell. You can't just do anything. But are there others like ticky tack violations that happen that have to do with maybe timing, quality of video, quality of sound, things like that?
So, with violation wise, not really for the live stream. Now, there are certain guidelines that you do have to follow that they'll give you strikes or warnings for. So, you do have to watch your account health all the time. If your account health goes to a certain number, they will actually ban you from streaming for either a certain amount of time or indefinitely.
Mm.
We actually had a stream that we decided to, kind of back for a while. It was called Mount Moon TCG.
Mhm.
There were a couple of people that wanted to stream. We just didn't have enough time under the pokepost banner, and they were like, "Well, hey, we still want to get the product. We want to stream as much as we can." And we were like, "Okay, we'll help you with that. We're going to continue to help you through that process." And their account actually got banned because they got too many strikes. And so for us, it's like, well, that's a huge learning opportunity to take that account and understand, hey, this is what happened. This is why it got banned. This is the, rules of the platform. They don't have a certain rule about streaming time or streaming numbers or anything like that. It's more about just what you say on stream, how you direct people. Because, of course, if you're streaming on a platform, they don't want you to tell you, hey, go to YouTube. Don't be on here. Go to. No, they don't want to do that, right?
Right, of course.
So you always got to be sure that you're following their rules and their guidelines because it doesn't matter what you do. They can just come in, bring the band hammer, and that's it.
One of the things that I've noticed recently with this influx of people coming into the hobby is the I don't, I'm trying to avoid using certain terms here because I don't want them to be misconstrued as other things. But with the amount of product being available in regular stores versus what's available online, do you feel as if it's streamers are getting unfairly blamed for the lack of product Pokemon's being able to put out versus the amount of people that are into it? Um, because I feel as if when you're a streamer and you are able to give that instant gratification that we want across all platforms in life now, I'm blaming Amazon for that personally, but we can blame anybody we want. But uh, essentially, whenever you have a store, we used to go in, we used to get that instant gratification, but now the instant gratification comes from being online. Yeah, you don't physically have the card, but you know it's coming. So, do you feel as if the rise in streaming is affecting the amount of product available, or do you think it's just they're taking the blame because it's the easiest target?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, this is the most amount of packs we've ever seen ripped, right? We've never had a time where we've had more product ripped than right now. Pokemon is pushing to print as much as possible, and they're not keeping up. Well, it's because you can get it almost anywhere, right? You can go to a stream and within 15 minutes you can find, hey, I want a Lost Origin booster pack, I want Crown Zenith. It doesn't matter, right? Because people have invested so much into either getting product or supplying product for somewhere else or just having their own personal collection that they're actually selling. So it's a little bit of, yes, I understand people are a little bit frustrated the way things are going because Stream rips so much product and they're able to get more product, but it's not really that way. It's a kind of a misconception. There is still a lot of product out there, there's still a lot of product being printed. The real issue is they just can't keep up with the demand. I mean, a market is always going to be that way. Supply and demand is always going to be that way. So you can't fully blame the streamers, but you can't fully blame Pokemon. It's a little bit of both. So if you're ever going to say, hey, why are people buying all this stuff from streamers? Well, it's because they can get that product. Well, why can they get that product? Well, they buy it from somewhere else or they are able to source it from somewhere else and they're just able to get it. So even though Pokemon, they are a huge company, they're a massive company, any dollar is green.
Right.
And that's
And one of the things that goes along with that is when you're dealing with these people who are streamers that are actually getting product from, say, Target or anywhere else, and that's their source of income, I feel as if they're getting lumped in with brick and mortar stores who are doing this and people who have distributors. Talk to me a little bit about what a distributor is, what they do, and why Pokemon uses them over distributing things directly from themselves.
So Pokemon does distribute things directly themselves, but that's through the Pokemon Center website. So for selling to different countries and to different bodies, they a lot of the time do have to go through a third party anyway. It doesn't matter what they do. At the same time, it's a little bit frustrating here in the US because they are a Japanese based company. they can't always communicate very well with people here in the United States.
Mhm.
So they will use a third party, which those are distributors. Distributors go out to Pokemon and say, "Hey, I'm going to buy as much product as you can. I'm going to spend, you know, $2.5 million with you in this quarter. I need to get product and then I need to sell it to someone else at a certain price. So I have to buy it at this price to make sure my margins are good. And then that way I can sell it to this person to make sure that their margins are good." So it's a little bit frustrating dealing with distributors, but that's just because it's a middleman. Not only that, but we've seen this is an unprecedented time with distributors because it's the one of the first times that we've ever seen them sell stuff over MSRP. So even though we buy from distributors, half the time we get product at above MSRP, which means that we can't even sell it at MSRP. Otherwise, we'd be taking a loss. And if you know business, you can't take a loss. That's how you unfortunately go out of business. So there are just several different reasons why the Pokemon Company couldn't sell directly in the United States to different consumers. Um, Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. It's the way that it's always been since, Wizards of the Coast era. So for us, we've got to do what we've got to do. I mean, we've got to have product, so we've got to reach out to distributors and we got to buy from them.
Right. And I think that as this evolves, I don't necessarily see distributors getting better quickly. I think it's something going back to what Jack said on his stream with me was whenever you go and accept that these people are selling things, whether it be on eBay, whether it be on TikTok, whether it be just in a store, when you go into these stores and they have things that are massively overpriced and people pay for them, what's going to happen is you just set a new MSRP. Even though it's not an MSRP, we should call it a DSRP, distributor, because as you said, they now have the ability to set their price. If people are paying more, why wouldn't they want to get in on that? With being a third party, it's frustrating, but it's something that the regular stores are going to have to deal with, and it's unfortunate, but it's just part of business, as you said. I think that the other part of this is recently there's been a lot of animosity towards streamers because of certain comments that were made about distributor prices being exposed. I think it's also important to know, I've heard, and I don't have a full confirmation on this, that different distributors act differently. Some allow more product to go to certain people. Some allow different prices on those products to go to different people. So just because one person says the distributor pricing is what it is, doesn't necessarily mean that all of them are doing that. Is that correct from what you've understood?
Yes. So with distributors, you have something called an allocation. Distributors only have X amount of product that they can sell to certain people. So for yourself, you have to make sure that you are buying as much as possible, especially whenever we have a kind of market like we do now. With that, it also means that every distributor is going to be different, right? Some distributors are smaller than others, some are really, really big, and some are just kind of the blimps on the map that you can only get certain products from. For instance, One Piece only comes from two distributors. So we can only get One Piece from two people, which means whether you like it or not, you gotta buy it from them, and they can set whatever price they want. Because oh no, you have to go to someone else to buy this stuff. Well, what happens when they run out? I got my stock, but it's 20% higher. Okay, I'm going to take it. I'm going to need it. So it's a little bit of kind of dealing with a buyer attitude for distributors because they know that they kind of have it cornered, even though there's 5 to 7 distributors that you can go to. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a lot of product. It just means you're going to get some. So as you build a relationship with those distributors, they're going to continue to kind of give you a little bit better stuff, whether that be more allocation, better pricing, better bundles that they do, and there's several different things that different distributors do that you just don't really know about unless you're talking with them.
I want to touch back on something that we talked about a little bit earlier, but I want to dive into this a little bit more. I want to dive into retaining your audience at this point. I want to talk about how streaming has changed, not just for you, but what you've done to kind of keep it fresh and keep it real. Because as a lot of, I think, streamers go out, the reason they typically go out is because they rinse and repeat the same method over and over again. I think with everything that's going on with the distributors, with the pricing, with everything like that, you have to do something to set yourself aside. What are some of the different trends you've seen come through streaming, and which are there any you wish would come back that you really enjoyed? And what do you think the next big thing in streaming is? Do you think I've seen everything from small streams to people opening packs at large card shows to, I mean, hard to not shout out Pat Flynn and Card Party. But what do you think the next big trend in the Pokemon world of streaming anyway is?
Honestly, I can't tell you because things move so quickly and things are so rapid of a pace that the next trend could come tomorrow, it could come in 3 weeks, it could last for 10 months, it could last for 2 days. Uh, y- Trends are something that are very, very hard to understand and to be on top of. The people that really can do that well will be very successful. Now, going back to the point that you made of streamers kind of just exiting because they don't refresh themselves, you gotta keep it fresh. Even though we have the same thing every day, you can't be like, all right, guys, it's another energy break. No, you can't do that. You also got to keep yourself fresh. So, understanding that, hey, you gotta keep it, a good vibe. You gotta keep a good energy. You gotta kind of be a little bit more upbeat. You gotta do it because otherwise, people are not gonna really stay in your stream. If it's not entertaining, why are you gonna stay?
Right.
I know that for myself, I watch a lot of streams just to understand what they're doing versus what I'm doing. Uh, I think that something that we do great is having our Minty Gem products. Those are a really great product that we have. They're very unique to our stream. They're very us. Something that I've seen kind of fall off recently is actually something called energy breaks. We've done a lot of those. Anyone who has watched our stream, they've seen energy breaks. They know what an energy break is. Honestly, I think that energy breaks are kind of seeing their lowest kind of terms of, uh, I want to say, like being wanted.
Mhm.
Their lowest desired point at this time. And because of that, it forces us to switch to different areas that we know we are strong in. Like I said, we developed a new Minty Gem bag for just Japanese products. We made better hitboxes. Going off of that, we have to continue to do those different things that people really want. Unfortunately, the big realm is mystery things. People want a mystery. People want to be able to rip something and not know what's in it. That's great and everything. At the same time, it means you got to balance out people's expectations of what you're going to get. Hey, this is the floor, this is the ceiling, this is what we got going on, this is how many packs are in it. You always have to be understanding what people's expectations are for that item. That does also mean you have a lot of room to kind of make it your own. Mystery products are really, really cool. Different streamers have slab mystery products where you get a slab, uh, maybe a different graded guard that could be a really short printed one. You can get packs with slabs. You can get a football card with a Pokemon card. It could be it could be. I've seen ones that were U.S. president signed stuff. I mean, there's so many different options out there that you can make into those mystery products that people are just capitalizing on. And so I think that's something that is going to see a huge upswing here in the next few months because it's just hard to show people physically, hey, this is what you get versus you could get this or you could get this. So
Hmm.
there's always going to be that almost unmentioned, unthought about, well, I'm going to buy this because I know the potential is there type deal.
Well, I think that's the whole thing about any of these trading card games that draws so many people in is the fact that it's that unknown chase of something. I think that when you start to implement these mystery products, you essentially double it in a way. And you actually, especially with things like slabs and things that are a singular product, whether it be a slab, or anything like that, you, as you said, you do now have a set floor and a maximum. So instead of having a pack where you can have, two reverse hollows and a rare, and that's the best you can do in it, your now floor is now something that is something somebody would want. I think that that's part of what's driving this, and personally, I do enjoy it. I think that as that evolves, I think it would be interesting to see, as you mentioned, maybe a cross between the different types of collectibles in here. I know on a different note, I went into my local store and was talking to the owner. They're a good friend of mine, and they really push Magic the Gathering. And I don't know if you've seen what Magic the Gathering has done recently, but they've been pairing a lot with. The new set that just came
Yeah,
out with
Universes
Spider,
Beyond. Yeah,
and
they've been doing it a lot.
it's not something I ever see Pokemon doing because they have their own thing, but that still goes into that same thing of it's different and it's a mystery. And though I'm pretty sure in Magic there's, you get a Spider-Man, but it's actually another card. It says it under it. But
Hmm.
I think that kind of draws on that change as well. I'd be interested to see what Pokemon does to try to match that kind of energy. I don't, as I said, I don't really think they're going to because they keep within themselves. But I think their version of it was probably this Journey Together and Destined Rivals, where they brought back trainer Pokemon.
I think that for Pokemon, it's a little bit different because they don't need to bring in anything else, right? They have such a great IP that no matter what they do, they're going to be pretty successful. With that, though, it means that they have to battle Magic the Gathering as they continue to do this. So something that I've seen recently is like you said, bringing stuff back. Megas are back, right? We had Team Rocket Pokemon are back. I mean, if you remember during the time of the lead up to release of the Team Rocket set, people are like, "Oh my God, there's gonna be this. We're gonna have another Persian in there. It's gonna be, Giovanni's Persian." Well, it's not that anymore, right? And so people getting hype behind a set means that they feel some way about it. So either that can be nostalgic, that can be hype, that can be X, Y, and Z. It doesn't matter. So as long as they can build that hype or the intention behind that, they know that they're going to make it a success. Um, I think that with the mega set, that's a huge thing that they've been doing. Hey, this whole block is going to be mega, right? We know that, but that doesn't stop the demand for it. I mean, mega evolutions, I have never seen booster boxes go over $300 for a set so quickly in the span that Mega Evolution did. I mean, I remember Twilight maybe being almost about $300 on release, Surging Sparks being just about 300, maybe 350 on release. But I mean, oh my gosh, Mega took off, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop. So, building up the hype or people's mindset of a set is the best way Pokemon can do to combat that Magic the Gathering.
Right. And going back to what we were talking about before about how streamers need to maintain keeping that interest, do you think by doing this, Pokemon is almost making that easy for them? Just by saying, hey, look at this crazy new thing we're going to do, and the next thing, and the next thing. One of the things I remember talking to Jack about was that Mega Evolutions was going to be the lull in this. It's almost like they heard that and said, huh? You think we're going to put a lull? No, we're going to put the most insane Charizard you've ever seen out, and you can't do anything about it. So with that being said, with Pokemon putting out nothing but straight fire for, 2 years now? Ever since Crown Zenith, for me, a year ago, not Crown Zenith originally, Crown Zenith, the reprint, right after a Charizard set coming out. And then the only lull I really remember personally is Shrouded Fable and Stellar Crown. And it's almost like they learned from that and said, we're never doing that again. So by doing that, do you think that just by Pokemon existing, streamers are going to start to fall back into that same, we're just going to keep doing the same thing and let the sets do the hype? Or do you think that even with that, they're going to have to still keep this fresh?
So, with the amount of sets that they release in a year, I know that whenever I got back into it, it was, I believe, 5 to about 6 sets a year. Now it feels like sets come very more frequently.
Mm.
And the reason that it feels that way is because not only are we getting the English set, but we're also looking at the Japanese set that's coming out. So people's mindset goes from, oh my gosh, this just released. Oh my gosh, I need it right now, to, oh, this new Japanese set is releasing and it's going to be in English. Oh, I got to see the new arts and I got to see what's going on. So it's a continuous, almost FOMO that people are going to miss out on. Oh, I didn't see that set or I didn't collect that set. Well, I don't feel like I'm a true collector if I do that. And I honestly hate that feeling because you shouldn't have FOMO. You should have fun with it, right? You shouldn't buy something just because you're like, well, it might be like a Bubble Mew where I'm never going to be able to get it again, and it's not, no matter what, it's gone, right? It's gone to the moon. It's going to keep going up. It doesn't matter. I don't. I personally don't like that just because I got into the hobby at a really kind of quote unquote pure time. A lot of people were just trying to have fun with it. People were trying to connect with others, and that allowed people to kind of collect the sets how they wanted. You didn't have to collect every set. You didn't need to understand what's going to be in the new set just to have fun with it. For instance, Fusion Strike was a huge tank. I remember getting Fusion Strike packs at $1 a pack. $1 a pack. I can't do that even on release. I mean, on release, you get $9, $10 a pack, and it's like, is it worth it for me anymore? For me, it's not. I mean, I don't rip very much. I rip one booster box at the beginning of release. I may rip one ETB, and that's it because it's just not worth it for me. Um, with that being said, the quickness that they are putting out sets along with the Japanese sets makes people really rush to get the new stuff.
That's a really good point about the increase in Japanese collectors, and I think part of that has to do with the amount of exclusive Japanese products that have come out, whether it be a Pikachu eating a cheeseburger from McDonald's, or if it's maybe the Meowth promo or the Wooper promo or you name it, of just something that can't be acquired in English. I think that helps it too, but um, that
Well, not only that, but also the art looks, honestly, in my opinion, so much more better. Or so
mhm.
much better. That's bad English. Bad English, guys. No, I think that the art looks so better. The texture looks a hell of a lot better than what it does in English. And half the time, the cards just make you, they almost pop more to me. They feel better to me. They look better to me. So for me, it's the, well, if I'm going to buy something for $400, $500, why wouldn't I get the best looking version I can get? And that's going to be Japanese.
One of the things that's really important to most streamers, and I know especially the pokepost, is maintaining a good community and making sure that everybody feels as if they're having a good time. What do you feel as if the most important point of keeping that thrill alive for everybody and the want to come back to the community? What are the steps that you guys take, and what are the most important points that you guys cover in maybe your staff meetings on how to keep the audience engaged and positive?
Part of it is honestly just being yourself. I mean, I feel like whenever you're on stream, you can see if someone's being genuine or if they're just kind of playing a role. At the same time, I also never want someone to come on stream and be like, why are you being so rude to someone? So, being upbeat and having a good, uh, positive outlook on things will always help the stream to be exciting and entertaining. Not only that, but hey, whenever you open up a pack, you got to remember it's for you, right? It's for the person that's buying the pack. It's not for me, but I get the enjoyment of pulling that card. I can say, yes, I pulled that Moonbreon. Yes, I got a PSA 10 alternate art Charizard. While it's not going to me, I still have fun with it. You're supposed to smile and have fun. We like the phrase, you are the hype man. You are the person that's kind of invigorating the whole group. So you got to make sure, have fun with it. That is the number one thing, is just have fun. And honestly, that makes me feel so good. It makes me feel as if I can help someone have a little bit of a better day. And honestly, if that is the one thing I can do that day, it makes my day that just that much better. I think that there's so many people out there that is so negative and always consuming negative things, that if I can find one bright spot in that day and make someone's day better, just because I'm having a good time and I'm smiling and having fun, what better way I can give back than to do that? I mean, um, the support's amazing, people are amazing, and so if I can make something better for someone, I'm gonna do my best to do so.
You mentioned earlier that in store you were able to sell booster boxes for a little less than you did on TikTok. Yeah, you guys were making some more money, but from what I understand, TikTok charges a percentage of every sale. So talk to us a little bit about why that happens and how you guys have to adjust your pricing accordingly.
So for TikTok, they charge anywhere between 13 and 8% for your fees. That means that any transaction that comes to that website, they have to pay the credit card or the debit card charge people. That's usually at least a 2% fee. I mean, for big places, it might be 1%. But no matter what, they got to get that money back. So who do they charge? They got to charge the people that are selling it. They also charge that other fees for either coupons that they do or just platform uh, maintenance. So they, of course, want to continue to update their platform. They, of course, have to pay people to do so. And how do they get that money? They don't get it from the generosity of people, giving them money. No, 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 no. They got to charge the people who are selling stuff on their platform to be able to do so. And so, as a business, you have the network. If you have the network, you have to leverage that for as much as you can. Because I could go out and sell, to my local people, but that's a tiny percent of people compared to the whole United States, which that is what TikTok has. They have the leverage of, well, we just have more people. We have more eyes. We have more buyers. We have more wallets that can spend more money. So they leverage that for the fee that they charge, as well as the coupons that they provide that they fund fully. So, for instance, if you've ever seen a coupon on TikTok, that's from them most of the time. That's not the people that are selling stuff, because let's be honest, we're already getting charged a fee. Why would I give you another coupon, or why do I discount it more? Because I'm losing money at that point. So they have to fund those coupons. They have to fund those things, as well as they have to fund the people that are working on the platform. So we have a rep that we speak with every week. Every week I talk to this rep. Well, that's an hour of his time. If you think about it, if they're in California, what, they're probably getting paid $30 minimum an hour? That's a good amount of money for someone, and that's just one person, not counting all the other people in that organization. So it also helps bring jobs. I always want to make sure that people understand that no matter what, how you feel about TikTok, how you feel about distributors, how you feel about anyone else, they bring jobs. And jobs mean that people are able to buy stuff. It means people can support their family, they can buy houses, they can buy food, they can buy even things that they don't necessarily need, right? But the biggest thing is to understand that that is something that we truly need. No matter how many jobs we have, it's never going to be enough. So to allow that, we got to understand that they got to charge a percent, they got to charge their fees. I'm not saying you have to be okay with it. I'm just trying to say, understand that. Understand that that is how a company works and operates.
So one of the things I want to do on episodes here with Kalen is I want to, both him and I are big time collectors more than anything else. So I think we need to be able to show off things that mean a lot to us, and just share with you different ways of collecting in this hobby and different things that maybe you haven't seen before, or maybe a different type of item that you haven't seen before. It might not always be a card, but it probably most of the time will be, because that's what we collect. But I have a feeling Kalen might have some items that aren't cards that he might want to show off at some point.
Maybe one or two. We'll find out, though.
All right,
All right.
let's do our first reveal. Go ahead, Kalen. Let's see what
Yeah.
you're
this
bringing to the table.
is something that I bought, actually not for myself, but for my wife. This is something that legitimately was the first graded card that I had ever bought for someone. Actually, I think it's the first graded card I ever bought in general. It is this Flareon EX from Radiant Collection in a PSA 8. It is. I don't even remember what I picked up for. I don't even care. It is something that holds a very special place in our heart. There's been several times that we've said, "Oh, it's reached this dollar amount. We might sell it off," and we haven't. I'm honestly really glad we haven't, because it's legitimately something that means almost the world to us. If we ever got rid of this, it might as well be us getting rid of half of our collection. It's a card that even now my wife will look at and go, "Oh, I'm so glad we didn't get rid of it," and for me that means the world. So it's not only a gift that I bought my wife, it's something that holds a lot of sentimental value for us. So it's a PSA 8 Flareon EX from Radiant Collection. By the way,
That's incredible.
not
I don't know
all
what I was
cards in my
expecting.
collection are 10s, as you can see. Not everything has to be a 10. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Wow, mine doesn't have as much meaning, but it does in a lot of ways. So, for me, my piece is going to be a one-of-one card, and I'm the only one who has this, as far as I know. I'd have to check that, but as last time I checked, there is only one legendary Terapagos from AGS from Stellar Miracle. The reason I picked this was AGS has a very special part in my heart, just because of how they grade and how I've been part of the ever-changing system that they are running, and being able to have a legendary, which is their version of a CGC Pristine or BGS Black Label, of having perfect all over, is one part of it. But when I started into collecting, I've said it many times, it was the Crown Zenith Sea and Sky boxes, but when I got into it was almost release day for Stellar Crown, and I remember coming into the lives and doing a lot of Stellar Crown stuff, and I chased this card for so long, and it was at the point, which is crazy at this point to say this, but Stellar Crown was sold out all the time. Everybody wanted it. That's all anybody talked about, was trying to get this turtle. And I remember at one point there wasn't any available, and Jack told me to get some Japanese. It's called Stellar Miracle. And I chased it for a long time in that as well. And I didn't pull this one, and I didn't grade this one myself, but I was able to find it. And ironically enough, this card came from about 10 miles from your shop. It was near Kansas City, and it was just sitting nearby you guys. And I was able to grab it on eBay and shipped it to me.
You never told me this. What?
Nope, it was from...
What? What? Do you remember the town? Do you?
let me look it up. I have this still sold. It was... I remember seeing it, and I'm like, oh, I don't think that's very far from...
You never told me. I now have a gripe against you, okay? Because you never gave me this information. No! I can guarantee. Oh, this guy.
The seller still sells stuff on here, so let's... hold on, let me check my facts here to see if they are close to you. but I'm pretty sure they are.
He's wrong. Oh, get him in the chat, everyone. He's wrong.
Oh no, they're not that close to you, but it was from Kansas.
We're from. We're from.
Emporia.
My in-laws went to Emporia State.
Oh yeah,
My sister-in-law went to Emporia State.
Nope, this was from Emporia, Kansas.
Oh my gosh. Emporia
That's
out of
crazy.
everywhere, dude. Oh my gosh. That is insane. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but to be able to have that and have it as part of my collection is kind of cool, regardless of where it came from. I am going to verify right now if there is any more that have ever been graded, just so I can have that live feed.
But it honestly could have been from our shop.
Thank you everyone for being here for another episode of the Hit List podcast. Hopefully you learned a little bit about what goes into streaming and some of the behind the scenes, and maybe you can just go in and instead of going in and complaining about the prices or anything like that, maybe just go into a random stream and tell the streamer that they're doing a good job and have a great day.
It's been fun. It's been great. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and have another fantastic day. Enjoy the time that you have and be safe out there. We'll join you for another episode of the Hit List podcast with Big Mike.